Hello and welcome to Motor Week. Well, Howard and I have left the City of Love and we've come to Birmingham, the city of cars.
Because this is the Birmingham International Motor Show, and here it is.
Well, not content with stealing the show at Paris, Jaguar are also responsible for the most hyped launch at this year's Birmingham Motor Show. The eyes of the world are on the Jaguar stand to see the new S-Type, and here it is. Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Are you going to do this at every motor show? You're going to steal the show because you stole it in Paris and you seem to have done it here at Birmingham as well, don't you?
Well, that was nice. I mean, it was nice that people thought we did it in Paris too with the XK180. It was really good to be able to do that, and then to come here to our home show was really super.
I mean, you're producing a car in the S-Type that really is steeped in history. You know, it carries the whole of the Jaguar heritage. That must be an incredible weight on your shoulders.
Yes, it is, and I think Geoff Lawson, our director of styling, really recognises that in everything he does, because he knows that it is so easy to blow a heritage, if you will, and if you make it a pastiche of what it was, you're not really moving it on. He's got one of the most difficult jobs in design in the world, to take this great Sir William Lyons endowment, if you will, but make it modern, make it relevant, and bring it into the future. Because there are many people who would say, he blew it. He hasn't done with this one. Another great Lawson design.
Well, the heritage, the history is both a help and a hindrance, because it helps because it points the way forward. It doesn't, of course, tell you how far to go and how quickly to travel. So it's a double-edged sword, really. Ultimately, we will always try and respect our heritage and the ethos of Jaguar's design history. And I think the S-Type, as you say, is steeped in that history.
We've been let into a secret room on the Jaguar stand to take a closer look at the car that everybody wants to see. And at first glance, the 60s influence is really evident. The swooping sidelines, the elegance of the styling, the look of the oval grille on the front. But don't let the 60s retro looks fool you, because in every single way, this car is thoroughly modern. It's fit for the millennium and beyond. And as you were saying, although it is a car that's steeped in heritage, it does have to be a thoroughly modern car, else it can't compete. And you've really geared up Castle Bromwich, haven't you, for the next millennium to produce a very modern vehicle. Absolutely.
We're very proud of Castle Bromwich. I mean, what we have there is a world-class, state-of-the-art luxury car manufacturing facility. Great workforce. And to go there is to see the 21st century in automotive production today, and that really is thrilling.
Yeah, the engines in the S-Type, you have a new engine that's been developed. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, we've got two engines. We've got the AJ V8 engine, which is carried over from today's saloon and today's sports car. And then a new engine, the AJ V6. 240 brake horsepower from just 3 litres. Now that really is an awful lot of specific output per litre.
Can't wait to get behind it and feel all that power.
It does feel great. It's fun to drive, which is also important.
It's a global car. We hope to sell lots of them. So it not only has to be attractive to look at, but it has to be practical and functional at the same time. Yeah.
For the first time on any production vehicle, the S-Type offers fully activated voice controls. And what this state-of-the-art system does is allow you, by your voice, to operate the sound system, the climate control, even a mobile phone. And would you believe it even understands regional accents? So let's give mine a go. And all you need to do is press this button on the side of the steering wheel and give your command. Temperature 72 degrees.
Climate control, temperature 72 degrees.
Well, it was getting a little bit warm in here. Okay, let's give it another one. Phone, dial office.
Phone, dial office. Dial, please say yes or no.
No. I don't think we'll bother with that. I'm having too much fun here at the Birmingham Motor Show, and there's still far too much left for me to see.
Well, to get a job in the motor industry, you have to start at the bottom, and I've volunteered for some reason to be a crash test dummy. What's your excuse, Zoe? Oh, she works here. We're about to simulate an 8 miles an hour crash. This is what it feels like, evidently. Okay, let's do this. Yep, there we go. Oh. I wish I'd had one less tequila last night, actually. That is very unpleasant, and that was only 8 miles an hour. Don't crash your cars.
This is one of the stars on the Mitsubishi stand. They've taken the Charisma floor pan and put this tall 5-door body on top to create the Space Star. Richard Hammond got a sneak preview in Belgium.
Space Star, eh? Sounds to me like some spangly 70s disco hit. But Mitsubishi say they've called it that because it's the latest to join the Space family. Remember the Space Runner and the new Space Wagon. And they're hoping it's going to be a star. They also say that it's a compact, semi-tall, whatever that is, profile. Well, to you and me, it's a 5-door family hatch based on the Charisma platform. Don't let that fairly boxy exterior fool you. This isn't another mini MPV. It's certainly not a Renault Scenic competitor, as Mitsubishi are only too keen to point out. The defining factor of the mini MPVs is that they are a monospace. This isn't. It's a 2-box. The engine is in a separate compartment of the car to the bit that I'm sat in now. So get that out of the way right from the start. Mitsubishi say it's in direct competition with your family hatches, perhaps even small estates, but also things like Ford's new Focus and the Mercedes A-Class. So what we seem to be getting here is almost another class entirely of a family hatch, a 5-door, but that's kind of bloated a little bit, in which there's a bit more room. So the important thing is the interior straight away. And climbing into this one, it's a pleasing environment. The fact that it is that bit higher does mean it's fairly spacious in here. To give you an idea of the size of it, it is narrower than an A-Class, lower than an A-Class, but slightly longer. It's about the same on the road as a lower medium family hatch, really, which is you'd expect. It's based on the Charisma. Looking around in here, in this interior, there's one thing that leaps straight away to mind, and I can only say that we must give Mitsubishi the benefit of the doubt and hope that it's on this car and this car only, and that's some of the fit here on this handle is absolutely appalling. If you put your hand there, you could rip a nail off. Very bad. And also, there's a thing missing down here completely, but we'll give them the benefit of the doubt, assume that's not going to be the case when it is in production. One thing that sadly isn't going to change, and I'll get all my whinges out of the way straight away, is this bit of plastic here, which is a bit spangly and a bit shiny. To me, it's a bit My Little Mitsubishi. And on the subject of kiddies' toys, these cubby holes, which are very, very useful, no doubt, for stopping things rattling around, for some reason have been lined with Action Man hair, which the first time the nippers throw the chewing gum in is never ever going to be clean again. As we look around, one thing to bear in mind is this blue colour, these plastic bits can actually be changed. There'll be probably 4 trim levels when it comes to the UK, but you can choose from 3 colours, a green, a blue and a greyish blue, for the interior to tune it to your liking. And it is fairly well equipped. It's not the prettiest of dashboards, but on this one we've got a satellite navigation system and the radio all integrated in one unit and the display for that integrated in one unit over the top with the CD for the satellite navigation to go in. And when you sit here, straight away you have got the high seating position that you'll find in, I know they won't like me for saying it, but a Renault Scenic, and the comparison is inevitable. And if it's not high enough for you, you can make it higher with this little lever. One complaint is that the steering wheel, though not overly uncomfortable, is adjustable only for rake and isn't adjustable for reach, which is a bit of a shame. It does mean that you are always stuck at a bit of a Yorkie lorry driving position for me. And as for the rear, well, we've got a bench seat for 3 people, so nothing spectacular and unusual there. Inside we've got 3 rear headrests, 3 3-point inertia belts, so everybody's nice and safe and secure. But I wouldn't fancy being the 3rd adult sitting in the middle of this for very far. The good news is that at the very back, the boot is enormous. In fact, it's pretty much bigger than most of the opposition. If you look at the equivalent family hatchbacks on the market, it's substantially larger. One of the reasons for that is that these rear seats can be slid forward to increase the space. But if you were to do that, I can't in all honesty say I'd want to go too far in there. Whilst the 1.8 engine is pretty high-tech, there's nothing equally high-tech about the oily bits underneath. Having said that, the chassis and suspension setup is by no means outdated. There's multi-link rear suspension and McPherson struts at the front, and they do a very good job of keeping the whole thing pointing in the right direction. In fact, with the 1.8 engine in, it's really quite an entertaining drive, perhaps because of its semi-tall rather than proper tall profile. There's no body roll problem through the corners. It all feels pretty well screwed down, and it can be quite an entertaining drive. Kind of simple and uncomplicated. Like me, really. Let's be honest, there's nothing particularly new or innovative about the Mitsubishi Space Star, apart from its semi-tall profile and, of course, the 1.8-litre GDI engine. Neither is it particularly good-looking or particularly bad-looking. In fact, it's bland. But then, so are we as car buyers. In Europe, we like our family hatches, and boy, is it ever back. And there's good news if that's your decision to buy, for the simple reason this is based on the Charisma platform. And platform sharing is usually good news for us, the customer. Because the manufacturer saves a whole load of money in developing a new car if all they have to do effectively is bolt it onto the platform of one they've already designed. Well, Mitsubishi reckon that this is going to come to the UK for between £12,000 and £16,000, depending upon the trim level.
Well, we have only just scratched the surface here at the British Motor Show. We will be back with more after the break.
Behind me is the car that's just been unveiled amongst all that action. It's Rover's answer to the S-Type, and it's called the 75. Now, yes, you're not mistaken, Rover as well as Jaguar have been delving into their history books for some inspiration on this one. And inspiration is what they really needed, because it's crucial to them that this car is a success. Rover are currently losing between £300 to £400 million a year, and this is the car that really needs to re-establish the Rover brand. This car, of course, was so important to you because it needs to be the car that really reignites the Rover brand, doesn't it?
Absolutely that. First of all, a fantastic opportunity for us because it's the first car for over 20 years that has been a wholly in-house piece of design work for Rover. Prior to that, we produced cars in collaboration with Honda. So this car is a real statement regarding our styling and engineering skills.
With regards to the styling, you've obviously looked to the Rover history. I mean, you can see it throughout the car, but it's very important as well that it's a contemporary vehicle, isn't it?
It's extremely important. I mean, sure, we're proud of our history, but it's probably more important that we look to the future, and this car is all about that. And I was daring enough to use the term sex appeal in my presentation on the car, and I'm going to stick with that.
Yeah, you did. You were saying it's a sexy Rover, weren't you?
I was indeed, yeah.
And it's not least sexy because it's actually a very powerful car, isn't it? And you, what did you say? Let me quote you on this. The best ride and handling of any front-wheel drive car. Is that a fact?
Yeah, that is a fact. And I'm going to stake our reputation on that. And I know our competitors will all now have their tongues hanging out to test our car. We've got a superb chassis on this car, which is the best of group technology. I'm not ashamed to say we've benefited from some BMW technology. The rear axle system, the Z-axle, bears a close resemblance to the systems in BMW rear-wheel drive cars. So we've spared no expense on the chassis, and it does give this superb combination of ride and taut handling that really is a massive step forward for a Rover.
Now, of course, you've said that it's a mini luxury car. It is an executive car, and as such, it's got to have executive refinement, hasn't it? Does it have that?
Yes, it does have that. When I said mini, I didn't mean in size, but I was referring to the affordability of the car. I've been asked many times whether this car will compete head-on with the new Jaguar that's launched at the show. And the short answer is, well, no. I mean, I think ours is the better car. Of course I would say that. But frankly, if you compared prices on the day when we announced these cars, I'm confident that price for price, our car's the one that will represent true value for money.
Now, I've spoken to a lot of designers who always say to me there's always something on the car that they wish they could change, that they wish they could have done differently. What's your thing on the 75?
There's absolutely nothing on this car that I could have done differently. My design team would probably laugh at me, but I wanted this car to be immensely bold. And if anything, we might have been even bolder with it. Could the car carry even more chrome? Well, I'll leave you to think about that.
Yeah, it looks wonderful. Congratulations. It's been a great day for Rover. Thanks for talking to us. Well, if this first glimpse at the Rover 75 has whet your appetites, then don't worry, because you're not going to have to wait too long to get your hands on one. It's planned to go on sale next March. And how will it be priced? Well, little birdie tells me that about 18.5 grand will get you in the entry level, with the top of the range fully loaded up, a very reasonable 27.5. It looks like Rover could be saved at last.
The Vauxhall Frontera. When it first hit the 4x4 market, it looked really good. Unfortunately, it drove like a dog and propped up the JD Power satisfaction survey for several years. So, Vauxhall scratched their collective heads and went back to the drawing board. The result is this, the all-new Vauxhall Frontera. It still looks great, but how does it handle? Chris Goffey finds out.
If it's Friday, it must be Northumberland and the launch of the new Vauxhall Frontera. Now, how many times have you heard a manufacturer claim that their new vehicle, which looks to all intents and purposes exactly the same as the old one, is in fact totally new from the wheels up? Well, Vauxhall have joined that club. Let's open the box and see what they've got in store for us. Let's face it, this is much more of a re-engineer of Frontera than a brand new design from a clean sheet of paper, and don't run away with the idea it's the merry men from Luton who are responsible for it. As with so many things in General Motors nowadays, this is a worldwide concept. It's sold in America as the Isuzu Rodeo, on some world markets is even badged as a Honda, and of course it's sold in Japan as an Isuzu and in Europe as an Opel. So, what have they done to the Frontera? Well, they say it's an all-new body shell and every panel is changed, though I can't see it myself. The back no longer comes off this sport version, and there's no soft top at the back either, but inexplicably the rear roll bar still remains. It's there for street cred, according to the brand manager. Mechanically, there's new engines. The transmission is modified to give you selection of four-wheel drive on the move at speeds up to 60 miles an hour. The car is lighter by 150 kilograms, and Vauxhall claim it's much quieter, up to 50% quieter. That'll be good news for regular Frontera drivers. Ride and handling relatively good on this short wheelbase sport version, though I have to say the long wheelbase estate seemed to float and wallow far too much and yet be harshly sprung. Classic case of under-damping. New rack and pinion power steering though is light and very precise, with no fight back at all, certainly on the road or cross-country. Vauxhall's specially built off-road course proved no challenge at all to the Frontera. We proved it was possible to get all the way round without resorting to low range or four-wheel drive, which rather defeated the point of the whole exercise. However, it did demonstrate good ground clearance, axle articulation, and in the short wheelbase version, decent entry and exit angles, with the wheels closer to the extremities of the vehicle. But despite running on compromised suburban tyres as opposed to cross-country knobblies, the ability of the Frontera to grip and climb was impressive. Perhaps the company's claim that simple rear-wheel drive with optional four-wheel drive plus high and low range is actually better off-road than sophisticated electronics to control hill descent and traction has some merit after all. David, in looking after quality with Frontera, I mean, you have had your problems.
Yes, we don't deny that. The history of the vehicle, we have had criticism and it's been justified.
What have you done to try and put that right?
Well, the first thing, I'd say the most positive thing, is we haven't denied it. Every criticism we've taken and we've looked into. Obviously, with the previous model, we were able to introduce fixes to concerns. But I think the most important thing is that we had a team of engineers, both with our Isuzu partners, looking at all those problems before we went to the design of the new vehicle, so that we could design those out and improve the overall vehicle.
What for you is the most important change with the new car?
The most important change for me as a quality man is the influence we've been able to have on how the car is built. So to guarantee, you can guarantee the quality of any prototype car, of a pre-production car. To guarantee 100% quality and right first time, you have to design that into being able to build the car and to allow our people on our production lines the easiest method that the car can be assembled and assembled efficiently.
Vauxhall say they've substantially refined the 2.2 16-valve petrol engine in the Frontera Sport that we've been driving. Produces 136 brake horsepower, enough for spirited performance, maximum speed around 100 miles an hour. However, there's a new V6 3.2 litre, well over 200 brake horsepower, and that's in the top of the range long wheelbase estate. Lots of Frontera owners in the past have gone for diesel power, and again there's a new engine for them, 2.2 litre turbo diesel, producing 115 brake horsepower, but interestingly substantially more torque than this 2.2 litre petrol unit. Now, diesel owners tend to tow. They tow big caravans, horse boxes, boats on trailers. Vauxhall Frontera diesel power has come down from 2.8 litres initially, then down to 2.5 litres, now it's down to 2.2. Despite the power and the smoothness of the new diesel engine, Vauxhall have got a big educational job to do with those people to convince them that a smaller engine will still do the job. For vehicles which spend the vast majority of their running time on, as opposed to off the road, performance is important. Frontera stays abreast rather than ahead of the competition. 96 miles an hour maximum for the turbo diesel, 102 for the 2.2 petrol, and 120 miles an hour for the V6. Prices aren't yet announced, since the vehicle won't launch until the NEC Motor Show in October, but Vauxhall say Frontera will retain its price advantage over competitors. Vauxhall say that the weight saving they've made in the body shell hasn't compromised the strength in any way. Don't like the way this rear wheel vibrates when you shut the door though. The Vauxhall and the Isuzu engineers have undoubtedly done a very good job of refining and developing what was originally rather a flawed product. Frontera today is faster, smoother, quieter and better riding than the old vehicle. But the opposition hasn't exactly stood still in the intervening 8 years since its launch. Has it caught up? Well, frankly, I think it's still got some way to go.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed our look at the British Motor Show. There are some fantastic cars here. In fact, there's so much to show you that, should we come back next week?
It's a very good idea, because there is so much to see at the British Motor Show this year, so we are going to return, because this is the only programme that will bring you so many fabulous stories from one show.
So join us on Motor Week, same time next week. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye.